Ben with Super Pumped Podcast, day 16, 40 days in the wilderness, final day in Belize. When I got here, I was spending a lot of time on the beach, just hoping for some grand revelation. I'm there at dawn, I'm there at dusk. And one of the things I noticed was that they're raking these beaches. Like this looks really finely manicured, like you would mow your lawn back in the States. I thought, how silly. They're raking the beach. Like, did the tourists really need a raked beach versus something like this, which is a little less raked? And you can see all the people who walk through here. I was avoiding those areas. I was actually like, well, I don't want to mess up their nicely raked area. I'll walk in the rougher kind of natural areas. As I'm doing that, then over the next couple of days, I'm not finding my grand revelation, but I am finding my legs just bit to crap. I mean, they are just destroyed. I'm staying up all night scratching, and I'm like kind of irritated with God. I'm thinking God has a sick sense of humor. Bring me out to Belize to just have me get mauled by these sand fleas. I was like, let's move on to snorkeling. I figured, let's have a revelation out there. And I came back and my neck was killing me. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm not seeing anything. Like, I'm barely seeing any animals. I asked some of the other people who are more experienced, I said, is your neck hurt? Like, what's going on? They're like, no. I said, well, I'm going to go snorkel a little bit. Just tell me what I'm doing wrong here. I came back and they're like, dude, instead of looking down, which is how the snorkel's built and the mask, you're looking like out on the horizon at a 45. I said, well, yeah, I'm trying to find the big stuff. They started laughing and they said, well, if you want to see the big stuff, you've got to look for the little stuff. Look for the coral where there's lots of little fish, tiny fish darting around, because then the big fish come as predators to those fish. And I was like, oh, that makes more sense. I did that. I'm like, but I still am not having this grand revelation. I thought, all right, I'm just not a beach ocean guy. I grew up in the desert in Arizona. That's not my scene. I go inland, I go to the jaguar preserve, and I'm like, I'm going to see the majestic jaguar, and that's somehow going to reveal my path, right? Go out, doing a guided hike to a waterfall through the preserve, and I don't know, an hour and a half in, the guide is like, hey, I hate to be this guy, but you got to stop stomping on all the ant trails. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, you're so busy looking up in the trees that you're literally destroying a bunch of ants as you go. They have these pathways. He went on to explain that the ants are the critical kind of workers in the jungle, that they do the cleaning of the jungle floor and they create nutrients and fungi. If the jaguar is going to be healthy and survive and the birds are going to survive, they need the ants to do their thing. And when he said that, it was like all of a sudden a light went off, and I thought, I've been missing it this whole time. I've been missing it with the sand fleas. I asked a guy who was raking the next morning, I said, why do you rake every day? He said, oh, well, when we rake, it basically brings the eggs of the sand fleas up to the surface, and then predators either eat them or the sun just destroys them. It kills them. He said, so as long as you stay in raked areas, you're not going to get bit up like that. I said, oh, that makes more sense. Then I thought to the snorkeling, how if I looked for the little fish right below me, then I started seeing the barracuda and the nurse shark and the turtles and all that. Now with the jaguar, I'd love to tell you I saw a jaguar, but I didn't. But it made me realize if we look down and pay attention to the little things, I can stand in this raked sand and look out there. If I'm in the jungle and I look down and I'm not in an ant area, I can then scan the trees and not do the harm to the little guys. As I thought about that, I changed the whole way I was approaching this time in Belize. I started just seeing everything right in front of me, the people that were fellow travelers and getting to know their stories. And it was incredible. And talking to people who were doing the work, raking the sand, making the food, and driving the bus and accompanying the bus. All of a sudden, this experience, which I thought was going to be some grand epiphany, was like a million little magical, super pumped moments. And all of a sudden it created this tapestry of really awesome things. As I walk away from here, my takeaway is see the things that are right in front of you. See all those little details that go into making our world so magical. And if I can do that, I'm going to live super pumped. Thanks for joining me. I've got a plane to catch, so I am going to head right on out of here. If you've ever dreamed of pressing pause and rediscovering what makes your heart sing, I invite you to follow along on our YouTube channel or on Super Pumped Life on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I'll be posting every day, not only a podcast, but updates, stories, bonus coverage, and reflections through this super pumped adventure. If you're one of our awesome audio-only listeners, I would encourage you to go over to YouTube to see the incredible video footage of all that is going on in this 40-day super pumped adventure in the wilderness. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you tomorrow.